Alright, Jingran is amazing, especially after yesterday's livestream. I think people love him even more. But this guy is probably more specific than you think. Your account may or may not be good for Jingran. So today I'm going to talk about everything that you require on your account and tell you guys what's going to make him the most valuable unit that you can pull on depending upon what you have. I'm going to talk about his teammate, his playstyle, the way you're going to build his echoes, everything. So you can make a better decision on whether you want to pull him or not. Okay, so Jingran, his animations are insane. His animation is insane and that's enough reason for me to pull on him, and I'm definitely going to go for him. But let's talk about his meta value. How do you know whether this guy is going to be a main DPS, a sub DPS, or a support? That can happen as well, because it's Wuva. And the answer is actually pretty clear, and that's coming from his echo set. The first thing that you can see that he scales off of HP, and that is a pretty important point because it tells us more about his setup, which I'm going to talk about later. But first, let's look at the second set effect. Okay, so this guy gains 20% crit rate and 15% fusion damage bonus. So just by looking at this, we can definitely say that he's not going to be a support. It also tells us that he's not going to be a sub DPS as well. Now, why is that? Because every single character in this game who does insane damage has some kind of crit rate, crit damage thing in their echo set. So for example, King Xiao, she seems like she's going to be a main DPS, so she's getting crit damage from her echo set. Yang, another main DPS, and she's getting crit rate from her echo set. Hyuki is also getting crit rate. Sigrika is also getting crit rate. Aimat is also getting crit rate. And the next thing is Galbrina. She's the same thing. And Crown of Valor for Augusta. Same thing. So all of these echo sets with some kind of crit rate or crit damage in their set effect is always going to be used by a main DPS. So I'm like 90% sure he's going to be a main DPS. And with this, we should be able to decide his best team. Because all we need to know. Okay, so let's say this guy is Jingran. Now, like any other team, we need a sub DPS and a support. Okay, so let's look at all the possible options for support. In 5-star supports, we have, and of course Jingran is not really going to be an aero DPS, so for sure aero rover is not going to be used with him, so we can count him out. And also pretty sure Jingran is not going to be a negative status, DPS, so we can cross out Sui Sui and Chisa as well. And there's no way Varina is going to be his best in slot, and Shorekeeper as well, because this guy is already getting crit rate from his echo sets. So that leaves us with pretty much only one 5-star support, and that is Mornier. And guess what, who is rerunning during the Jingran phase? Everything is connected. We can now easily decide who's going to be the best sub DPS for Jingran. I think everyone in their mind is thinking, oh, yes, is going to be good. And before I talk about all the other sub DPSs that you can use, let's take a look at what Yuno actually gives you. So Yuno, for the entire team, she actually heals. So you're basically never going to die if you're using both of them. Second thing is she gives 40% all damage amplification to a character that can actually make their own shields. Till now, only Augusta was able to access this buff, but now even Jingran should be able to access this from Yuno. And she also gives 50% heavy damage amplification, which is also something Jingran is going to use. It's going to be a heavy damage amplification focused DPS. Other than Yuno, we also have another option, which is going to be Lupa. Now I don't have Lupa because I've never spent money in this game. But yeah, you can also use Lupa. And what Lupa gives is with 3 fusion teammates, she gives 50% fusion resistance ignore. She gives 18% attack, 20% fusion damage against Calamity or Overlord bosses, 20% fusion damage, and 25% basic damage, which is going to be useless for Jingran, but still she provides a lot of buffs. And if you're using Clawprint on Lupa, she's going to give 15% fusion damage. If you're using Moonlit, she's going to give 22% attack and 12% damage bonus. It is absolutely insane how many buffs you can get from having Lupa. And since you're using Mornier, you can also just use Linné as well. I don't have Linné because I don't spend money in this game, man. But yeah, you can use Linné, of course. Linné Mornier works with everyone. If you're talking about 4 stars, then I guess Rebecca and Mortefi is gonna work just fine. Just like Yang, I think they should be able to work with Jingran. So yeah, these are gonna be your team options. It almost seems like you need to have Mornier, so you have a lot of flexibility in terms of like sub DPS options. But for supports, it feels like you kind of need her. If you don't have Mornier, then the other best option is probably going to be Shorekeeper. Okay, now let's talk about his echoes. Currently in the game, there's only one HP scaler, main DPS, and that is going to be Carditia. And she uses 4-4-1-1-1 setup. Like she uses 2 4 costs and 3 1 costs. And I feel like it's going to be the same case with this guy. We already have the 1 4 cost, and this 4 cost gives fusion damage and heavy attack damage to the user. So this is definitely going to be used by Jingran. And the other 4 cost is getting released in the next update. And as you can see, this guy also belongs to the fusion set. So there you have it. We have the 2 4 cost and we have the 3 1 cost that we can just farm right now. So you should be able to farm one of his 4 cost and all 3 of his 1 cost right now if you want to. And then you can get this guy when the update is live. Now with this setup, since we are not going to use the 3 cost, it means that we are not going to have the fusion damage bonus, which makes it such that Lupa, who gives a lot of fusion damage, becomes even more valuable. So I'm 90% sure that Lupa and Linne are going to be his best sub DPS option. If you don't have Mornier, let's say if you're using someone like Verena, Shorekeeper, Sway, whatever, then your options are going to be and for Lupa, instead of giving 15% fusion resistance ignore, she's going to give you 6% because we only have 2 fusion in our team. And then Linne is probably not going to be as good without Mornier. And also one more thing that we know about these HP scalers is that they're probably going to be more dependent on their signature weapon than any other normal DPS. I mean, Karithia does a lot of damage, but the difference between her signature and EOG is like pretty good amount. So just make sure that you have enough Astrites to get him and his weapon. But again, if this guy is actually good with this Greatsword, then good. Before you force yourself to spend money, just try using him with this weapon and see if it is actually good, and then decide whether you want to go for his weapon or not. Alright, that is it for today's video, dude. Anyways, good luck for your pulls. See you guys later. Bye.